Twins batters seem to hate Chris Paddack almost as much as they hate Joe Ryan. The lack of run support continued Sunday when Paddack pitched his best game of the year against the Mariners. The Sheriff was near perfect, but the Twins couldn't turn another ninth-inning rally against Andres Munoz into victory, and they fell to 2-4 on their road trip. The former Oakland Athletics are next for 4 games in West Sacramento, California. Hello. How long will the Twins let Royce Lewis languish beside them all? Lots of mixed feelings about how Rocco's boys are doing right now, so it's probably best if you just sit back, relax, and get Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Oh, hello there, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team every day. We're not giving it back. Just don't forget to hit like and subscribe where applicable. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer who also loves to score ball games, that is. I'm a BBWA member and a Hall of Fame voter. Across the Great Plains of cyberspace is Brandon Warren, who also loves to score stuff from Poshmark, another reason why he likely will never run out of stuff. Brandon was a Twins fan who became a Twins writer, and now he's both. You can find more of our work at Access Twins and Zone Coverage if I'd ever write again. It's going to happen soon, I swear. On the show today, tough way to lose the past 2 nights at T-Mobile Park, a 9th-inning defeat in the bottom of the 9th Sunday after losing in the 10th inning on Saturday. I think I have that straight. Luis Castillo on Sunday was a tall order, and the offense came up appropriately short, as they've been doing kind of a lot lately. Paddack isn't the worst supported starting pitcher in the league, but he was the 6th worst coming into Sunday. Joe Ryan lives in the same neighborhood, by the way. After another rally against Munoz, Griffin Jacks took a tough L after some lucky hits and a poorly executed errant throw by Ryan Jeffers. Royce Lewis was dropped to 9th in the batting order, and he was pinch hit for in the 8th inning. The writing seems to be on the wall here with Royce and where he's headed in the near future. And we'll also reminisce about the opener in the series. I wanted to talk about that more, but the circumstances, that was probably the most entertaining Twins game the Twins have played in the past few years outside of the playoffs, certainly. So, Brandon, that leads us to our show. It's a difficult way to end a couple games on the road. It's when you go on the West Coast and you don't win. It's tough if you go there and you play horribly. That's really bad because you feel you went all the way out there and then you played like garbage. That's not what's happening with the Twins. They've been playing close games and they just haven't been able to win them the last couple nights. It's listening to Rocco after the game, he's happy with how they're playing, if not how the results are going. Are you on board with that?
I mean, generally speaking, yeah, because the pitching has been exceptional, to steal a word from Rocco, and Paddack especially had just a tremendous outing on Sunday. What was it? First 15 pitches were strikes, which was the Twins' record dating back to at least 2000. He was the first MLB pitcher to do it this year, and it was like the second longest stretch of his career of consecutive strikes in any outing. He had one of, it was like 17 or 18 against Seattle, but when he was with San Diego. So apparently Seattle and him go well together. But he was great. Bailey Ober was pretty good. And Zebby, dug a hole early and then was just nasty. So not a bad trip to Seattle, all things considered. And, you talk about, heading west. They headed far west from Tampa to Seattle. But I don't know that. I mean, I think the fans that complain about everything take these losses harder than the Twins do. Not because the Twins don't care, but because there's another ball game tomorrow and you can't stew on it too long, especially with a flight to catch. So I know the A's they've been really struggling of late. So that should be a good chance for the Twins to maybe, at least get to 500 on this road trip or thereabouts, come home in as good a shape as you left. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, the big takeaway for me was anytime they did keep Cal Raleigh in the park, because he had 4 home runs in the series, now has, I think, 23, which is tied for third in Mariners history to this point of a season. I believe it's 58 games. Do you have any idea who the other 3 players were? I'll give you a hint. It's just one player, but 3 times.
So that would probably be Ken Griffey.
Yeah, so Griffey had like a 25, a 24, and a 23. But Raleigh is just unconsciously good right now, and the rest of the team can't hit at all. So, I mean, I shouldn't say at all, but it's they pale in comparison. So, yeah, you knew it was going to be tough to go out to Seattle. They're teams that have played similarly well to this point in the season. They came into this game with identical records. So it was a tough afternoon at the park, but Castillo made it tough. He was tremendous. So all in all, I mean, for a game that you don't win, it was still a good, well-played game and a well-played series, really.
There were some mistakes that bugged me a little bit. Jeffers is going to throw a ball away every once in a while. In the last inning, there was a still place attempt by Rodriguez, and it went into center field. The throw. I think the mistake was throwing the ball in the first place. It was clear that he get a
Trevor
good.
Kloof said that too, and I thought he had a throw. I thought he had a play, but I differed from Trevor there.
Well, he certainly never had a grip on the ball. You could see him struggling to get rid of it. I mean, if he had, and even at that point, I'll take my chances, Griffin Jacks against Randy Arozarena, just the kind of hitter he is, and he is a good offensive player, as was pointed out to me on Twitter. But still, a 220 hitter, and he made contact there, and possibly with the infield being positioned the way they had to do it. Maybe that's not a hit otherwise, but there's a lot of butterfly effects going on there. It comes down to, again, not being able to score enough runs. And it's, it isn't always Luis Castillo who's pitching. I guess I would maybe like to take a closer dive into the pitching opponents whenever Paddack goes out there. But he came in 6th in the league, worst run support, 2.5 runs a game. And that's just kind of how it always seems to go for him. I don't know if, who knows how these things affect a guy in the middle of a game, but it almost seems like he pitches like, and he's capable of pitching well, but he pitches like, well, I got to shut him out again today because they're not going to score for me.
Well, and that was true. They didn't score until after he hadn't left the game yet. That run that they scored technically counts as a run of support for him. But over his last 10 starts, they've given him 15 runs. Like there's nothing you can do with that. And because I have the data handy, I'm going to pull it up. But Paddack in his last 10 starts, 57 innings. I'm sorry, 58. I pulled that an inning early. 58, 2.17 ERA, 0.95 whip, and a slash against of 198, 249, 295. In those 10 games, the Twins have given him 15 runs of support. Again, this is an offense that should be scoring runs, and this is an offense that's a lot closer to full strength than it looks like. Obviously Royce Lewis struggling. We'll talk about that more. Matt Wallner back, but who knows how back he is. He takes a little bit of time for these guys to really get set. And I think Trevor said that first game or two, you're amped up, and then you kind of got to get used to playing again, just leveling out. So Buxton, not playing, not at all in the game today. But the lineup is, for most intents and purposes, pretty healthy, pretty much where it is going to be. So, I'm not trying to make
it is healthy, but at the same time, as also we were reminded of in our Twitter conversations, if we're going back on all the recent starts for Paddack, a lot of times it hasn't been. They haven't had a full lineup.
Yeah.
So, but still, it is funny how little they seem to score for him. And Joe Ryan coming in to action was 9th in the league in least support, but only a 10th behind Paddack. So basically the same thing. Mm-hmm. So that's a couple of guys there in the starting rotation that they don't score for. I think, some people look at it as excuses. I look at it like, pretty soon we're going to have to see a more consistent effort from the offense. And I suspect, though, at this point, since we are a third of the way into the season, that it's probably not as good of an offense as I thought it was going to be. Now, maybe that's going to be different with Carlos Correa getting hot, although he didn't happen to come up with anything on Sunday. But it's they do miss that. They do miss Royce Lewis, and we're going to talk about him in a bit. So I don't know if the offense is ever going to be with the personnel that they have as consistent as we'd like it. So, but with the pitching staff they have, it should be good enough to win games and compete for a playoff spot. I expect this team. This seemed like the Mariners series. It seemed like a wild card game, a wild card series, and the Twins kind of played well enough to lose it. It's they played well, but not well enough to win. I hate to put that on them at this point, but it seemed like to me a disappointing playoff series.
I think the Twins right now are who people thought Cleveland was last year, because Cleveland had a great bullpen, no offense, but their rotation stunk, and everyone didn't seem to treat them that way. And the Twins' rotation right now is quite good. Their bullpen quite good, and the offense stinks. That to me was the overall perception of Cleveland last year.
All right, we're going to give our listeners and viewers a chance to perceive a commercial break right now.
Well, if you're looking for a snack to have while you're listening to this program, I got a good one for you. It's both delicious and nutritious. You can crack into a good source of protein with wonderful pistachios. Wonderful pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts you're going to find out there. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, which gives you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. I honestly was just watching TV with my wife before I came down here to do the show, and she had her nightly dose of pistachios. And I tell you what, that's one of the best things you can have as a snack before you go to bed. If you're going to still try to fill up your tummy and not have anything you regret, that's the way to go. It's a complete protein providing all 9 essential amino acids, and they pack a protein punch. You can get the shelled or the unshelled version. I again like the ones that are in shells, and it's got like that satisfying crack, that crunch that I don't know. It's just it's not quite like a bat, like a college World Series bat crack, but it's
ping.
Yeah, exactly. So get snacking and get cracking with the nut snack that packs a protein punch. If you want to check it out, you got to visit wonderfulpistachios.com and you can learn more.
Locked On Twins hath returneth. We're talking about the wrap-up of the series in Seattle. Twins lose 2 out of 3.
I got a fun one for you.
Oh, good.
This was the first time the Twins had been walked off in back-to-back games since late last season. Could you guess? Could you have the slightest guess where the Twins got walked off on back-to-back games last year?
Does it rhyme with Cleveland?
Yeah. So I was like, shocker. And now Seattle, for the second time in club history, has played 4 consecutive extra inning games. I thought that was kind of a fun little note. Last time that was September 16th through 19th, 2002. So 4 consecutive extra inning games. I don't know who they're playing next. I didn't look into that, but they're going to have a chance to face, some guys who are pretty tired right now, bullpen wise. And
2001, or 2002, that's almost golden era Mariners. That's right after they, yeah.
Last A-Rod leave after 02. I want to say he signed in 03 with
I think you're right.
Tejas.
And 01 wasn't that the 118 win team or whatever it was?
118 or 119? Yeah, something like that. 119 and 43.
Kenji Jojima, was he there? All those extra inning games for the Mariners. Good thing the Twins were able to take advantage of the taxed bullpen. It was not to be whatever, but okay. Royce Lewis, have we reached the point? I think maybe we have, because
I have.
Well, maybe you have. when you drop to 9th in the order, and as I said so eloquently on Twitter, there is no 10th. When you drop to 9th in the order, and then you're pinch hit for in the 8th inning, and hey, good move, Rocco, because Brooks Lee got a hit.
Yes, he did.
Nobody ever praises Rocco for the stuff that works. I think it's time.
Yeah,
to send him to
and I mean, if you can't bring back Fitzgerald yet, because I don't know about timing for days. I mean, Mickey Gasper's been hitting everything in sight for St. Paul. You could reboot the Jose Miranda experience if you want. He's been swinging it a little better lately, but I think it's more about Royce needs this more than anything. It's just time, and I don't even know that it would have to be that hard of a reset. If you go down there for 5 to 7, well, I guess you have to be down there 10 days, right? 10 days, I wouldn't rule out bringing him right back, but you get down there, you get 5 or 6 games in 6 days. It's a consistent all in one place. Like, it's a tidy little way to get back on track. And honestly, I'm on board. I think the writing on the wall was Brooks Lee hitting for him. And there was it was against a righty. It was Andres Munoz. So there was the platoon advantage, but no, at that point it was kind of like, all right, they are moments from this happening. And I don't think it's far-fetched that we all wake up to a press release that he's been sent back, but I don't know. We'll see. I think it's getting close.
Related to this, if I can, I don't know if people will find this interesting or not, but I do. Excuse me. I've been watching the Royals this weekend. I've spent a lot of time at Kauffman Stadium. Speaking of trying to not able to score any runs, boy.
Well, they called up Jack Caglione, so that's good.
They did. Well, they did, and that's not what I was going to announce, although I did kind of want to talk about that too.
Yeah.
They did call up Jack Caglione. But on Saturday, was it Saturday? I think? Yeah. I don't remember. Was it Friday or Saturday? Mike Moustakas, he didn't have his number retired. He wasn't put in the team's Hall of Fame, but they did bring him back for sign a one-day contract so he could finish his career as a Royal. He played in Cincinnati and Milwaukee and the Angels, I think, at the end. He's only 36. It's been a couple years since he played. So he's got 4 kids. So
don't get any ideas, Royals. He's done.
Yeah, right. Yeah, somebody asked him jokingly, hey, could you still get a hit?
Maybe.
He probably could use it, too. Similar problems to the Twins sometimes. But what happened and it was funny because they were playing the Tigers. The Tigers were in town. Spencer Torkelson on the Tigers. He and Moustakas remind me of each other. When Moustakas was maybe in his 3rd year, he was sent down to the minors. He was struggling. His first 3 seasons, not very good with the Royals. He had really high expectations. I don't know where he was in the draft. But it was a 1st-round pick. He was a high prospect.
I thought it was Royals like 3rd or something overall. I'm looking it up.
It was something pretty good, and he wasn't hitting well. And this was 2014, so the Royals had started to play better in 2013. They were 2nd overall. That's fascinating.
2nd overall in 2007 from Chatsworth. Right. Number 1 that year, David Price. Number 3, Josh Vitters. You remember Josh Vitters?
I almost don't, but I barely do. So
Big Cubs.
The Royals sent him down, Moustakas. This was pretty early in the season. It would be early, the parallels aren't quite there, but he was struggling. They sent him down for 8 games for 10 days. He did a reset. He came back, and it wasn't great, but it was better, and it was what he needed. And by the end of 2014, he was starting to play his best ball. You can't really see it in the season-ending stats in 2014, but 2014 was the year he made the really good catch in the ALCS. He hit a home run in the ALCS. 2015 was the year he started to be 15% better than average as a hitter and fulfilling his potential. It was a good player for a number of years after that.
Yep.
And Spencer Torkelson has kind of been in a similar situation with the Tigers. He was a really high draft pick, 1 or 2 overall, and had to be sent back to the minors and finished last season and helped them win the division. So there's precedent for this. There's hope for Royce Lewis, and it stinks that it would kind of come to this, and because I think sometimes he says some goofy things, but I think he's I don't know, generally a nice guy. And the Twins need him to be successful, and it would be nice if he would, for his own sake, just for his own peace of mind and his own career. So I think it's time, and I think it'll work if it happens.
Well, and unlike Torkelson and Moustakas, he's had success to start his career. I think I'm trying to remember a player who started hot like that, cooled off, and then it came back to them. Because there are guys who have like the initial Linsanity run or whatever, rookie of the year, and then they fall apart and you never see him again. Bob Hamlin or whoever, there's guys like that. But it seems to me like it's just, okay, get his bearings back and he'll be just fine. With that said, between the comments he made about hope, which Trevor Plouffe kind of tried to slough off, and the batting ninth pinch hit I think there's a real chance we're looking at someone meeting the team in Sacramento tomorrow. I don't have any inside info, and I've been known to be wrong and be dumb, but if that were to happen, I wouldn't be shocked.
That's a good point you make about somebody who had some success and then lost it and then tried to get it back. Torkelson is a little more like that, because I think he had a run there where he was able to
a second
to do
half
pretty well.
Yeah.
Yes, he had a good second half like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And then 2 years ago he stunk and they sent him down, and then last year, and then he came back, and after it wasn't 10 days. It was a lot longer than that.
I'd rather have Royce Lewis than Andrew Vaughn right now. Let's just put it that way.
Oh my God. Don't even say Andrew Vaughn. Don't even put that on him.
Put that evil on me, Bobby.
That's right. All right, we're going to take our second commercial break, and then we'll talk more about the Twins, everybody's favorite topic. Oh, did we do the two? Is it time?
Yes, you're good. Once we see your beautiful smiling face, it's go time.
So nice.
Kind of look like Ray Charles there for a second.
No, don't do that. We might have to edit that out. That's not politically correct. You know what I want to talk about?
Sure.
Friday's game.
That was
let's do full transparency. I gave up on the Twins like 5 or 6 times. And what I mean by that is I turned it off and went away for an inning or whatever, and then would come back, check in. Hey, anything going on? It was frustrating. It wasn't success isn't linear, and it wasn't a success from start to finish. But the totality of it was, that was a legendary Twins game. That was one that people, if they stayed up for it, will be talking about to their grandkids.
Mind you, the Mariners had given up 6 runs in the 10th inning the day before. So they gave up 13. They went from like a +8 to a -5 in just 10th innings.
Right.
They gave up 13 runs in those 10th innings. They had given up 14 runs in 10th innings all last year. And
right.
We did some research on it, and there was no time in Mariners history they were anywhere close to having done this before. So just an incredible bit of serendipity. And again, too, against the bullpen. So that's where the bullpen was pretty ravaged. And so you got to be thinking, yeah, I know Matt Brash is coming back from arm surgery, but he's one of their better guys. But especially Andres Munoz, and the Twins absolutely ambushed him on Friday and even had pretty good at bats against him on Sunday.
They did.
He just, the fastball and the breaking ball, it seemed like he could locate the breaking ball and he'd lose the fastball, or vice versa. And guys just got good rips against him.
What hasn't he developed a kick change? Is he one of the kick change guys?
I don't know. I remember thinking the fastball, which was touching upper 90s, and then he had a slide piece that he could drop in the zone, but then a lot of times against lefties, it was like he was trying to backdoor it, and it just was not. It was spinning more than it was breaking.
Yeah, well, your guy Willie Castro with some big hits in this series.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure that you're one of the people who's too hard on Willie Castro and is not appreciative enough of what you get out of Willie Castro. And I think me and Rocco and Tom Kelly are right, and you are wrong about Willie Castro. What do you think about that?
Until he blocks me like Nick Gordon did, I'm not going to fret about it too much. But
I don't even know if he's on Twitter. I hate that app website.
Honestly, good for him if he's not, because it's the dead internet theory is starting to make a lot more sense to me.
Is that some what the hell is that?
That it's all bots talking to each other, and that there's nobody who's still online.
Well, that would make me feel better if it wasn't people treating each other so poorly on Twitter and it was robots instead. I'd kind of like that. My biggest takeaway of the series is, you know what it is.
The Twins are
it's
still
Zebby Matthews' start. Zebby Matthews' start is the most important thing that happened over these 3 games. Not so much the rally against Munoz or I guess Byron Buxton coming off the IL and performing well is good, and Wallner coming back. Zebby Matthews' start means everything in the long term for the Twins. Paddack saved the bullpen, and not necessarily for tomorrow or for the next day, but Paddack going late into these games and pitching well is huge. And Zebby Matthews being another weapon that can do that is huge. And it was weird because the pitches to Cal Raleigh and to Rosarena were not good. The home runs that he gave up, but half the damage with the other 2 base runners, that was Ducks North City. That was really bad luck that those guys came up before Raleigh did. And that was kind of half his damage period.
Yeah, I think the first hit was like 56 miles per hour or something. The JP Crawford?
Maybe 57. 56, 57. You can't get a ticket for it.
Well, and every game that Louis Varland doesn't pitch is something we need to be happy about, because they're going to burn him out. I'll say this because I don't want to steal any of your points. We don't have that much time, but I would say this was a start that Zebby learned a ton from. These young guys, some guys get their butts kicked and then adjust. Some guys get their butts kicked and then don't adjust. And some guys like Zebby do it all in the same game. I think this was a huge step forward for Zebby to have that tough first inning and then still go out and career high in swinging strikes and pretty much shut them down the rest of the way. Exceptional effort by him.
Starting with the mental fortitude to not get down on yourself. Because remember, his other starts so far, just going back to last year, I don't know how much he was thinking about that at all, but going back to last year, the results not been great at the major league level. So you could understand if a little doubt or a little distraction crept in a bit. But he put that fire out. And like you said, on top of it, really pitched well. It wasn't luck or the Mariners getting bored or whatever, or overconfident. That was a great start for somebody who gave up 4 runs in the first inning.
Yep.
And it's you wonder sometimes, you see a guy pitch in the minor leagues, you expect big things. He comes up, you're like, when are we going to see it? When are we going to see it? You get impatient, but that kind of effort makes it worth it. I think it's going to be huge for this team going forward that he was. And that's really my last point about the series, was that if you could take one thing away from it, it's that performance by Zebby Matthews. And there's lots of other good things to take away too, but I think in the long term, it's going to be remembered for that.
Well, and let's think of it this way. Zebby is capitalizing on an opportunity. Festa was down and SWR pitched poorly. You need someone to step in. There are very few opportunities with the way this rotation is going right now. And then Paddack, besides, he's basically the odd man out when you think about Ober, Pablo, and Joe. And then you've got, the babies in number 5. But Paddack has been kind of an afterthought because of how poorly he started the year. The opportunity to jump in, not only take a rotation spot, but solidify it. Hats off to Zebby for doing that, because it could have just as easily been Festa if his shoulder wasn't barking. And honestly, maybe in another year, the Twins ride it out with SWR if the offense is scoring more than 2 runs a game and you're not burning up the bullpen. So Zebby's feeling it right now. He's doing a wonderful job.
I take it back. The last thing I want to mention, that we didn't really talk about Correa too much. The home run was big, the go-ahead home run. It's good to see him get altitude on a ball. The bat drop was funny because then he's like, uh-oh, is it going to go over? I got to run. Oh, okay, it's over the fence. I don't have to run anymore. But
it reminded me of a Simpsons scene where Homer's like, stop the presses. Okay, start him again. And the guy's like, that takes 4 hours. that was Correa coming, like slowing down, speeding up, and then slowing down again. It was cracking me up.
But it wasn't so much funny, but fun. The last play of the game, the dive in the hole, getting up and throwing the guy out at first base.
Nasty.
That is about as beautiful as, I'm not saying like a mundane play, but that was baseball at its best. Mm-hmm. And it's like that scene in Top Gun where the guys are all in the ready room and they're talking about dog fighting. And the one lesser pilot goes, well, you probably haven't seen this, Brandon, since you don't watch movies, but
I've seen the second one, actually.
He's like, great. He's like, I'm really getting excited right now, just thinking about these planes fighting each other. That's not what he said. I can't really say what he said because it's dirty, but that's how I felt about Carlos Correa. I felt dirty about how much I enjoyed the end of that game. Gosh, that was fun.
It was a good runner too, wasn't it? Was it Julio or Rosa? It was somebody who could run. So
that was Julio. It was Julio, and he gave one of those. Well, I guess I'm out.
Well, it was a 6-run game at that point, and Correa's just like, don't care, we're finishing this thing.
Oh, it was beautiful. I hope that all bodes well for the rest of the season for the Twins, because it would be a shame if that series, if that game didn't mean anything by the end of the year. I think it will. I think they've righted themselves. I think there are a lot of bad teams in the American League, and I think the Twins, knock on wood, are in good shape to make the playoffs. So
I think you're right.
That's that'll do it. Thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen today at 10:30 at night on a Sunday. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts like this one. For Brandon Warren, this is Dave Brown wishing you all a very pleasant good evening, saying that we will Alexei Casilla tomorrow.
Night.
Oh, sit up.